All right, we are back here for our final segment of the day on PALS TV. We were just with our AOTL crew and Phil, and now we're going to be with Phil and our AOTL crew. So to finish out our day, doing a little poetry and a little bit of everything as Phil normally does here on PALS TV. So I'm live from Columbus. We have Phil, Bianca, and Audrey again.
Welcome, hep cats and kittens. We're going to dig on some slick rhymes today. We're going to listen to yours, and we've got some classics we're going to do ourselves. So let's go ahead and start. Does anybody have something else? I've got one we can start with, but if you want to spit yourself, wave a hand, and we'll let you go first.
Snaps only.
Aye, nobody else. So we're going to start our exploration of poetry with the Bard of Avon himself, Mr. William Shakespeare. Or would I was Shakespeare in the past tense.
Oh, you have me shook.
All right, so Shakespeare wrote a lot of stuff, tons of plays, and that's all poetry itself, what we call iambic pentameter. Series of 10 beats, 5 double beats, and he writes in that a lot. But he wrote a lot of sonnets too, 14-line poems. We got 12 rhyming lines, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then what we call a heroic couplet at the end. And this is one of the great classics. Here's another thing. People, and I'm stepping out of character here very much. People, when they do Shakespeare, do it, and I'll pick another one. Accuse me thus that I have scanted all. That is not how Shakespeare wrote. Shakespeare was writing for people, regular people, and that is what it is. So you can put that emotion into what you're reading. That's what he's just talking. So it's all fine, especially in his plays. Really irritates me when people do the fancy thing.
I never knew that because I talk like this.
Everyone does the
time.
fancy thing. Denzel Washington in Much Ado About Nothing does it really well. Everybody in that does, but it's a Kenneth Branagh production. So anyway, into sonnet number 116, perhaps one of his best. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love which alters where alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no! It is an ever-fixed mark that looks on tempest and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose worth's unknown, though its height be taken. Love's not time's fool, the rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out, even to the edge of doom. If this be error, and upon me proved, I never writ, nor man never loved. So what he's saying here,
I love Phil's
because it's fancy, is, sometimes you think you're in love and then you're just not. Somebody gets old and ugly and you just don't love them anymore.
Does that ever happen to you guys?
Oui.
Liz asked if you can speak French.
Oui, je parle français.
No.
It was the first language I studied. First language I studied. But that was a long time. I was in 3rd grade, so it was a long time ago. So he's saying, look, if you're just falling out of love because somebody got old, that ain't love. What? Love is big and huge, and you don't understand.
How old? Because
decrepit.
What?
Because
when you fall in a pot.
Did they age well? Because old
isn't bad.
No, is he specifically saying, and let me get to that line.
If Shakespeare were to have 2 girls around him all the time.
That when rosy lips and cheeks are within time's bending sickle. So when he cuts down and you don't look pretty anymore and you don't have that flush of youth, still, love stays, but because that's when it's real love. That's because it lasts forever and you can't understand it. Even though, yep, this is where it's at. You just don't, it doesn't make sense to you. It's too big. All right. Anybody else want to jump in?
Into love.
Who's our next poet?
I'll
Who's
jump
our
into
next one?
love.
Oh, by the way,
This is your poetry applause.
that's your okay. So I have one.
Oh, do please.
He is a poem writer, an author,
Poet.
poet that I really do enjoy.
He was a poet and didn't know it.
I went through an Edgar Allan Poe phase, and I think probably everyone did. So I'm just gonna, Annabelle Lee. And I really don't know what this is about again because I haven't read it in a really long time.
It's about Annabelle.
Okay, I mean, I know that. Okay. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabelle Lee. And this maiden she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. She was a child and I was a child in this kingdom by the sea. But we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabelle Lee. With a love that winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that long ago, in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud by night, chilling my Annabelle Lee, so that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me to shut her up in a sultry, in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know, in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of a cloud, chilling and killing my Annabelle Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, and many far wiser than we, and neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabelle Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabelle Lee, and the stars never rise, but I see the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabelle Lee. And so all the night tide I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in her sultry there by the sea, in her tomb by the side of the sea. Wow, that was really sad.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. Annabelle Lee is about, I love a dead girl.
Oh,
It
it got me a little bit.
We're not going that far.
Oh my gosh, Audrey. She died. They took her away from him.
She's dead.
His heart was ripped
His
out.
heart was ripped out of him, you guys. It's
Ripped
beautiful. Has your heart ever been ripped out of you? No.
Only once, but it was this weird Indian temple, and they Kali Ma, Kali Ma.
You guys, if you
Alex is with
Alex
me. He knows
knows.
some Indiana Jones.
if you like dark love and deep thoughts, Edgar Allan Poe is the person to read. Wow. That had me shook. Shakespeare.
You know what? Strangely, that reminded me of is Gordon Lightfoot's Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, and I have no idea why.
Why?
Other
I
than
don't-
it's
does
really
anyone-
depressing.
Yeah, okay. It just leaves that chill.
As
inside of
long as you know the tune to Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, it doesn't matter what the words are. You just sing the most depressing thing you can think of, and that's probably right.
Got it.
It's a good song. I highly recommend it. All right. Anybody else want to jump in with something they've got? Or we'll go back to ours.
Does anyone out there have a poem to read? Yeah.
All right. I'm not seeing any hands. Wait there.
Okay, I can read this as a poem.
Yeah, sure.
All right,
Remember,
Liz.
poems don't have to rhyme.
I'm going to read this as a poem by Liz. I miss you all. You are my favorite staff member. Thank you for taking care of and Phil. You met a lot. To Bianca and Audrey, I am at my dad's sister resort.
Aww.
Poetry. Pure poetry.
back it up a little bit.
Back what?
Just kidding.
You mean I'm backing into the last character? Is that what you mean? I was afraid I'd start on that one. Okay. Anybody else? Quick show for hands. Okay, no. All right. So we started with an English writer. We moved to an American writer, but New England, so practically the same. And because it's me, I'm going to go back to an English writer, Samuel Taylor Coleridge. He's famous for his Rime of the Ancient Mariner, which is really bizarre and strange, and a lot of stuff that he writes is strange. The Rime of the Ancient Mariner is a long poem. Iron Maiden created a whole song doing the poem, and it's like 19 minutes long. Now, 13 minutes long. It's also really good if you enjoy Iron Maiden, so I would recommend it. But we're going to go with one of his other classics, Kubla Khan. One moment, please.
Okay, I have one.
Bibbidi bobbidi boo. Though I shall love you, I always sit with my baby blue. In the time of age when things are scary and the world is crumbling and people are hairy. That's it. That's my poem that I just made up. Roll away now.
That was so deep and touching.
Thank you, darling.
I've never had my heart wrenched like that.
Yes, I'm a
before.
poet.
You guys, poetry is something, from my point of view, I think it's something that really helps people express themselves in different ways other than maybe writing a long story or even painting. I just think it's such a different way to express yourself. And
Madonna likes to express herself.
most of the poems that I'm going to read, or probably a lot of people are going to read, are about, honestly, love and heartbreak and, things that go on in the inner workings of your soul.
They make fun of Taylor Swift for writing that stuff. That's what all the poets write. All the greatest. do
All the
same
great
thing.
poets, listen, all the great poets went through heartbreak. They went through failure. They went through literally moving across oceans. I mean, it's some deep stuff that we're reading here. So yeah, I encourage you guys to read poetry because it's different and it's fast. It's not as long as a book, so you could read a poem every day. I know someone dear to my heart, Mara, reads and writes a lot of poetry, so maybe she'll grace us with her voice
We've been waiting.
later on. Doesn't have to be now, but maybe in the next 15 minutes. I wanted to read a really famous poem by Robert Frost. It's called The Road Not Taken. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, and leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence, 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Audrey, do you know what that meant?
What?
I don't care about poetry.
Oh, you guys,
No, I didn't listen. I'm sorry.
the road that's traveled less. I think we're all on that road, and we're doing a pretty great job. Wouldn't you say?
You got to do new stuff.
You got to do new
What
stuff.
Frost is saying.
And when you come with,
Push your boundaries.
when people just throw things at you, or, you just have to work and work and work, and you just got to keep going and take the road less traveled sometimes, because that's just what life hands you.
And it makes all the difference.
It makes all the difference.
All right, so that was another American. Let's go back to England. Cole. I was talking before about Shakespeare. You don't do in the high fancy voice. You do Coleridge in the fancy voice. That's what he wrote it for. He's just doing fancy poetry. In a lot of his poetry, he is dealing with emotions and things like that. Particularly Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner is about guilt. Kubla Khan is not. It is pure words. It is just meant to be art and poetry and nothing else. So this one sounds very different when it's read. And to clear my throat before I get into this.
Oh dear.
In Xanadu did Kubla Khan a stately pleasure dome decree, where Alf the sacred river ran through caverns measureless to man down to a sunless sea. So twice 5 miles of fertile ground with walls and towers were girdled round, and there were gardens bright with sinuous rills, where blossomed many an incense-bearing tree. And here were forests, ancient as the hills, enfolding sunny spots of greenery. But oh, that deep romantic chasm which slanted down the green hill athwart a cedarn cover, a savage place, as holy and enchanted as e'er beneath a waning moon was haunted by woman wailing for her demon lover. And from this chasm with ceaseless turmoil seething, as if this earth in fast thick pants were breathing, a mighty fountain momently was forced, amid whose swift half-fermented burst huge fragments vaulted like rebounding hail, or chaffy grain beneath the thresher's flail. And mid these dancing rocks at once and ever, it flung up momently the sacred river, 5 miles meandering with a mazy motion. Through wood and dale the sacred river ran, then reached the caverns measureless to man, and sank in tumult to a lifeless ocean. And mid this tumult Kubla heard from far ancestral voices prophesying war. The shadow of the dome of pleasure floated midway on the waves, where was heard the mingled measure from the fountains and the caves. It was a miracle of rare device, a sunny pleasure dome with caves of ice. A damsel with a dulcimer in a vision once I saw. It was an Abyssinian maid, and on her dulcimer she played, singing of Mount Abora. Could I revive within me her symphony and song? To such a deep delight 'twould win me, that with music loud and long, I would build that dome in air, that sunny dome, those caves of ice. And all who heard should see them there, and all should cry, beware, beware, his flashing eyes, his floating hair. Weave a circle round him thrice, and close your eyes with holy dread. For he on honeydew hath fed, and drunk the milk of paradise.
Wow.
Again, just pure
Wow.
weirdness.
Were you guys, I mean, wow.
Coleridge is a little odd. Yes, of course. Sometimes the title is part of poetry. Sometimes it's not. Some poems don't even have titles. Many, William Blake, for instance, it's just the first line. It's all different. It's all weird. Swing in, that kitten.
Come on, kitty cat.
Gonna be the swing.
Okay. I have a poem here that I like, and it's by Eileen Prunster. It says, as I plunge the blade towards her heart, she wraps her arms around me. I wrestle her off to plunge again. She clings on tight, fights on in vain. We faint and parry, though she stands in one spot, for she is a rose rambler and pruning my lot.
Wow. What is that about?
You go dark early, don't you?
I'd rather not say.
Is it
It's
about
it's about what all women can withstand.
Or it's about what you think it's about.
Yeah.
There is postmodernism with Jacques Derrida that posits the death of the author. That what the author meant doesn't matter. It's what you as the reader impart as meaning. And it's a shared thing between you and the author, even if they're long dead hundreds of years ago. That you create meaning together. You up with one?
Yes. Okay. I love a poet called Rumi. Do you know who Rumi is?
Jalal bin Rumi? I have him in ink on me.
Oh yes,
Really?
I forgot. Your lips that dry, darling. You need chapstick. Anyways, Rumi is a Persian poet. He speaks Farsi and probably other many languages. But
And he was a Sufi.
and he was a Sufi. I'm going to read, some of his poems were really small. So I'm going to read,
Generally.
I just found one, crap. Sorry guys, sorry. Okay. Love isn't the work of the tender and the gentle. Love is the work of wrestlers. The one who becomes a servant of lovers is really a fortunate sovereign. Don't ask anyone about love. Ask love about love. Love is a cloud that scatters pearls. Ugh. Love him. Love it. Beautiful. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. I mean, brilliant. He's a brilliant man.
Rumi, simple, clean,
Simple,
classic,
clean.
powerful.
Yes, powerful. Like you just understand. Like he believed that everyone and it was capable of loving and to be loved. Beautiful. We need that in times like this. I'm going to read one more. I love this one. Okay, this is really simple. Ready? If I love myself, I love you. If I love you, I love myself.
Tatvamasi.
Oh,
Anybody want to jump in now? Wave a hand. Anybody got anything?
anyone feeling the love? Anyone have a poem on the top of their head? A dark poem, a poem about hope, a poem about what they're doing today?
Hey,
Gila!
My hat, like, yeah, but I really yeah, like everything I do, so in my head, like my mom, me, my parents, like live, I like give me like my life, like in my head, I love with my parents, but my God love my mom, they love me, so my God love me, so last time I have a salad, love salad, she's back open. I can help better love me like my head. And I realize she for my room, look at my head. So let's show my mom and steal my husband. So my life so much. So what my ex to go policy call lots ski love with the khổ ở não ski live của mẹ mỏ ski qua không qua có mẹ mỏ có về lại cứ tao khó về cái đoạn này so my hair like okay we'll stop we'll go like my hair like it.
Yes.
Gila, I would say that discussion you just had about who you love and who loves you, you should write as a poem, but I think you already did.
I think that was a poem.
genuinely that was a poem.
It was beautiful,
that
Gila.
was really good.
Who wants to see me wear Phil's hat? I love that hat. Where'd you get that hat?
I mean, not from France.
Is this okay? Okay,
Yeah.
how do I wear it?
Tuck on the far side, hang on the other side. No, stop pulling it down so far. Way up.
Way
Sits
up.
Yeah, sits up.
It looks weird on me.
It does look a little weird on me.
What if I put it down?
Weirdly, an
more?
artist that doesn't wear a beret.
I have like a cute yellow one that I wear when I go out. This one looks dumb. Take back your hat.
Doesn't look dumb on me.
No, it looks great on you. Oh,
Because I was born to be a beat. Hey.
I love beats.
You do love beats, though.
I do.
Oh, and those kind of beats.
I thought
I
you
love
meant the.
beats. I'm talking about the beat to eat.
Do you love?
Oh, those. Oh, yeah, those are really nice.
Yeah.
I do love a beat. Oh, yeah, we got Alex. You got a
I
poem?
like your guys' story.
Do you have a story for us?
I really like the coffee and tea. Coffee.
I like coffee too.
Cheers.
I know there's a poem about it. I like coffee.
Cheers. Yep.
I don't remember the rest of it.
I like
It- it
coffee.
may
I
be
like
filthy.
tea. Oh, here we go, Gil. There you go. Starbucks.
Gail is with us.
Does anyone have a poem they would like to share at the moment? Anyone at all?
No.
Anyone?
Okay.
All right.
So we moved around.
Your turn, right?
I'm gonna. Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna go back to England. This is by Dr. John Cooper Clarke. He's a modern poet, still alive now. He is purely a performance poet. It is not meant to be sitting lifeless on a page like Coleridge and Shakespeare. Shakespeare less. His poems. But Coleridge particularly, William Blake, Edgar Allan Poe, Frost, they wrote to be written. John Cooper Clarke is meant to be said. And there's a particular way that he does it as the original punk poet. And I may well slip into his accent. I don't intend to, but it might just happen because that's what I hear in my head when I get this one.
Method acting.
Also, I need to stand up and do this because I don't think you can do John Cooper Clarke seated. All right. So this is about a neighborhood in the town that he is from. It's called Beasley Street. Far from the crazy pavements, the taste of silver spoons, a clinical arrangement on a dirty afternoon with the fecal germs of Mr. Freud are rendered obsolete. The legal term is null and void in the case of Beasley Street. In the cheap seats where murder breeds, somebody is out of breath. Sleep is a luxury they don't need. A sneak preview of our death. Belladonna is your flower. Manslaughter is your meat. Spend a year and a couple hours on the edge of Beasley Street. Where the action isn't, that's where it is. State your position. Vacancies exist in next certificate exercise. Ex-servicemen excrete. Keith Joseph smiles and a baby dies in a box on Beasley Street. For the boarding houses and the bed sits full of accidents and fleas. Somebody gets it where the missing persons freeze, wearing dead men's overcoats. You can't see their feet. A rift joint shuts, opens up right down on Beasley Street. Cars collide, colors clash. Disaster movie stuff for a man with a Fu Manchu mustache. Revenge is not enough. There's a dead canary on a swivel seat. There's a rainbow in the road. Meanwhile, on Beasley Street, silence is the code. Hot beneath the collar, an inspector calls where the perishing stink of squalor impregnates the walls. The rats have all got rickets. They spit through broken teeth. The name of the game is not cricket. Caught out on Beasley Street. The hipster in his hired hat. Drive a borrowed car, yellow socks and a pink cravat. Nothing la-di-da. OAP, mother-to-be, watch the three-piece suite. When the shit-stopper drains and crocodile skis are seen on Beasley Street. The kingdom of the blind, a one-eyed man is king. Beauty problems are redefined, the doorbells do not ring. A light bulb bursts like a blister, the only form of heat. Here a fellow sells his sister down the river on Beasley Street. The boys are on the wagon, the girls are on the shelf. The common problem is that they're not someone else. The dirt blows out, the dust blows in, you can't keep it neat. It's a fully furnished dustbin, 16 Beasley Street. Vince the aging savage betrays no kind of life, but the smell of yesterday's cabbage and the ghost of last year's wife. Through constant haze of deodorant sprays, he says retreat. Alsatian's dog, the dirty days down the middle of Beasley Street. People turn to poison quick as lager turns to piss. Sweethearts are physically sick every time they kiss. It's a sociologist paradise, every day repeats. On easy, cheesy, greasy, queasy, Beasley Street. Eyes dead as vicious fish, look around for laughs. If I could have just one wish, it would be a photograph. On a permanent Monday morning, get lost or fall asleep when the yellow cats are yawning around the back of Beasley Street. That's John Cooper Clarke.
Wow.
I love John Cooper Clarke. He's the greatest. I love everything about him. Caitlin, this is the applause. Can't be doing it. Hey.
Hey. Okay, let's see if we have any comments.
What do we got?
Nothing. Okay, no comments. Does anyone want to read a poem? Anybody?
Hey!
My
Finally.
gosh!
We've been waiting.
All right, we're unmuting you more.
You guys hear me okay?
Yes.
All good.
Okay. I'm reading this in response to the the Black Lives Matter movement to show my support.
Amazing,
There
Mara.
you go.
It's called Press Flowers. Out of respect and ignorance, I ought to stay silent. Helpless to empathize, coping with their day-to-day fears inside these realities, ranges of violence. Surrounded by the tender love and care of my circles, floating alongside bubbles, avoid listening to the brutal news headlines, wandering lingers about these aged struggles. Seems that sometimes cruelty could be the last recourse to their oppressed freedoms. Questions ebb about better times during these unfaded seasons. Support the voices of recent peaceful protests, though heartbreak remains around all the ashen flowers pressed. Levels anchored as pulsing rhythms bend, connecting celestial wishes in celebration of humanity, shall no longer be a dreamlike fantasy. Hopes carry forth that we will be the changed generation, welcome all our brothers and sisters like we do, with open arms and spaces. God, they're all so different.
Mara, that was, I wish I could say what I really want to say, but that was bloody awesome.
Yes.
Can you tell me later?
Yes. Thank you
Okay.
for sharing, honey. I know, and that was
Thank you so
really,
much.
and aside from, thank you for speaking up on this. I think
Yes.
that's beautiful that you said something. And thank you for getting out of your comfort zone
Thank you.
and reading, because I know that was hard for you. And I hope that you continue to share with us your stuff.
Yes, I certainly will.
Thanks, Mara.
You're
Do
welcome.
you
Thank
have
you.
you have another one to read, or is that it for today?
That's it for today.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Mara. That was awesome. Woo!
There you
Wow. Okay, so actually, I'm going to piggyback off of Mara, and I'm going to talk about today is actually, I want to call it a holiday.
Today is Juneteenth.
Today is Juneteenth. And for those of you that don't know what Juneteenth is, it is the day that slavery was abolished. So this is
Technically, it's the day slavery was abolished in Texas.
in Texas.
But we celebrate the total abolition of slavery today.
Correct. And I
Sort of
think,
total.
well, yeah. So, with that being said, one of my favorite poets, and probably many other people's because she's incredible, her name is Maya Angelou. And I'm going to read one of her poems that is called Still I Rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides. Just like the hope springing high, still, I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful and hard? 'Cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my old backyard? You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness. But still, like air, I'll rise. Thank you.
Maya Angelou,
Maya Angelou, you guys.
Poet Laureate of the United States. Anybody got something else?
Okay, Phil's still looking for something. So anyone got something else? We have about 5 minutes.
Trying to find something by Ginsberg that's acceptable.
Kristen, is that you waving your hand? No. Wait, what'd you say, Kristen?
I'm just fixing my phone up. I just dialed it over.
Oh, got it.
I got a card for my dad for Father's Day on Sunday.
Oh, you
That was
did?
a very good call.
That's a good call. I forgot it was Father's Day.
Yeah, it's
Are you
this
gonna
Sunday.
are you gonna write inside of it?
Yeah, I already did, and I just wrote two things from my both of my dogs because my dad always try to take them to hunting and running. So
Oh, that's cool. Did you write him a poem?
no, I'm not really good with poems.
Yeah,
Everybody's
but
good at poems.
everyone's good at poems, right?
Because poems are about heart.
I'm not really good at it.
As long as it's heart, it's good.
If I wrote my dad a poem, I don't even know how he would take it. He'd be like, "Thanks, kid."
I mean, I'm not sure about the scansion in the third stanza.
Oh yeah, your dad would be really proper with it. Oh, Phil's dad would critique him. My dad would not understand what was happening. Okay, Phil's still going.
Okay, it is really tough to find an Allen Ginsberg poem that is okay to read.
So should we just not do?
Yeah,
Allen
give me another
Ginsberg?
one. William Blake. How about William Blake? I was trying to find an American.
Wow, Phil, these books are hefty.
Look, literature's important.
Oh, Aaron's back. Hey, Aaron.
I'm gonna jump in
You
here
got a poem?
because I think the last two ones we read were powerful enough that we probably should end on that note.
You probably
I don't
should.
think we're gonna top that.
You can't top that. No.
No, I think about everything we've been able to do here and with education and jumping from health to science and history and geography, Phil's book club sessions, physical fitness. This is the first time we've done poetry, and thank you for doing it because I think it really led into some more powerful topics that we need to be open about and discuss. And I absolutely loved it. And I loved it before the last 10 minutes. So, and then that just, it kind of took it to another level. No, that was a great poem by Lizzie. So thank you for reading that, Lizzie. I know across PALS, I think about, we have a lot of very good poets, and Colin and Heath comes to mind, David S. and Columbus comes to mind. But immediately I think about Mara. So I'm so happy Mara got on here. I've heard a lot of different poetry throughout, my time with PALS and in different stages of my life. But I don't know if anyone's really pulled at my heartstrings the way that she has. And it's so inspirational and powerful. And then I didn't know she was going to come on and give us any of her amazing work. And then she comes and wows us with that. So thank you, Mara. Well done. And I love the advocacy, and I love you're inspirational. Thank you for that. And then Bianca recognizing Juneteenth. Thank you. Wow, what an amazing way to end our day. Amazing way to end season 8 already here on PALS TV. So thank you.
Have a nice Father's Day.
Aw.
Thank you, Ken, and happy Father's Day to
A photo
all
to you too, Aaron.
Aw.
plan. Love you guys.
Happy Father's Day to you, Aaron.
I forgot to unmute everyone.
And you too, Indiana Jones.
So come back again next week, season 9. It's going to be a little bit shorter than it has been, but we're going to still carry out PALS TV for you. Another great lineup, going to Buckingham Palace and Amsterdam with some of our virtual tours. And I think AOTL is bringing back Disney trivia. We'll be doing some music trivia, Deal or No Deal. ASL class, that was fantastic to end our day yesterday. So we're going to do it again next Thursday. So come back for Raquel's American Sign Language course. Then we'll wrap up the week with an interview with, he was missed today, our executive producer, Jonah. And then art show and tell. So work on your pieces and your portraits or whatever else you're doing and have it ready for Friday. All right. Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Bianca. Everyone, have a great weekend. See you back here Monday for season 9. And Let's see if
You
I can do
guys
that.
You guys have a great time in Amsterdam.
have a great weekend. Don't go too crazy.
Bye. Have fun.
Bye, everyone.